This video is going to create the pen barrel subassembly. So as you can see here, we have, and I'm going to turn some things off so you can see. Let me turn the barrel off, but we do have the barrel. And it will include all the color selectors, um, the color separator, the springs, and then the red, and then the ink cartridges as well. So we will be bringing all of these together into a subassembly. So how you start is you start with a blank sheet here. And you have to save it first. So we're going to save it and call it pen barrel subassembly. Now, please, please, please make sure that you're saving this to your Carabiner Shuttle pen location. So we've had some of you not doing that. Make sure you double check the location every single time. Okay? I'm going to put a 2 after mine because I've already done this. I need to distinguish it from the one I've already done. I'm going to click save. So that's important. You have to save this before you start dragging components in. So what we're going to drag in first is the barrel. So you're going to grab it from over here on the left, click, drag it in, click OK. Now I'm going to ground this. So I'm going to come up here to my browser, right click on the barrel, and click ground. I'm going to also expand this arrow here and come down to the barrel again, right click, ground. So I'm actually going to ground that twice just to be sure. All right, now I'm going to start with the black ink cartridge. And guys, in all reality, which one of these cutouts you put which color in doesn't really matter. But I am going to drag the black ink cartridge in first. So click and drag. Now, wherever it pops in, I'm just going to drag it, move it above, and click OK. Okay, now we're going to create a joint. And the joint we're going to create is going to start on this side. And then I'm going to rotate the screen around, and it's going to end up, we are going to join it with this part right here. Okay? And we will end up having to do this 4 different times for all 4 ink cartridges. Okay, so we're going to go to joint. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to put it right on the center of that side right there. And then I'm going to rotate this around. And I am going to pick the center of this side panel right here. And it will slide on in. Now, we're not quite done. I want to look at this straight on. So I'm going to come up to my view cube, and I'm going to click top. And notice it's not quite centered left to right. It's also not centered top to bottom. So if I grab this arrow here and move it to the left, it doesn't really go to where I need it to go. So I am going to type in 0.1. A little bit too far, 0.01. There we go. Okay, left to right there should be 0.01. And then I'm going to drag it down. And again, it's not going to go exactly, actually this time it does. It goes exactly where I want it to go. I'm going to drag it down 0.1. So left to right, it was 0.01. Down, it was 0.1. And then we can click OK. There it is. Okay. Now, then I'm going to go through and do this 3 more times for the green, the blue, and the red. Again, which one of these it goes into doesn't matter, but you follow that same procedure every single time. Side note, if you moved your color selector and joined it to the barrel, and for example, this brass part didn't move with it, or this plastic part didn't move with it, then what you failed to do when you built those was create the 2 joints here and down here. So what I would do if that happened to you is I would back out. I would undo, 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 open that ink cartridge separately, and then look at that video and recreate those joints or create them for the first time. All right, so the next thing you're going to see is all 4 color selectors in there. All right, guys, so I actually have the black, the red, and if I rotate it around, the blue in there. I am going to go through and I will do the green. just as one more look at this. So I'm going to drag the green in, and I'm going to lift it up. Okay. So this time that's going to go on this side here. So my joint is going to go in the middle on the side panel there. And then it's going to go in the middle right there. This time I'm going to click the left side of the view cube so I get a straight on view. And all of these I have to center. So if I drag this up, I'm going to drag that up 0.01. So for each one of these, the left to right centered is going to be 0.01. The up and down will be either negative 0.1 or positive 0.1, depending on your direction, and click OK. All right, so there's all 4 color selectors in my barrel. Okay, you can see it all there. All right, make sure you're saving frequently here. So I'm going to click Save and then click OK. All right, now what we want to bring in next is the spring. Okay, and if I go to the one I've already made, let me hide the barrel. The springs are going to end up in here. Okay, now I'm not going to bring it in first. I do have to make some adjustments to that spring before I bring it in. So I'm going to open up the spring. All right, there it is. Okay, now we have these joint origins. What I mean by joint origins is when I go to create a joint, there are those little symbols that pop up. Now, unfortunately, springs don't have a nice joint origin, and we have to create that. So here's how we're going to do this. Okay, I'm going to come down here into my browser, and I'm going to activate this end of the spring. And for me, that's spring end 1. So I'm going to click that dot next to that. I'm going to come up to Assemble, and I'm going to pick Joint Origin. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, all right, I need to see I want to see the origin. I want to see the origin planes. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click Cancel here and go back into that. So before I go to Assemble Joint, I want to do this. I want to click the origin on. All right, and for the spring end, I want to turn that origin on too, so we can see them on both ends. Now I'm going to come up to Assemble Joint Origin, and I can come down here. If I rotate this, I want it right there on that joint origin facing that way. Okay, so if we were to kind of stand this spring up on its end, okay, that would be flush with the table, okay, or parallel to what it's standing on. So I'm going to click that, click OK. It'll place it on each end. All right. I'm going to go back and I'm going to turn off the origin. And then really, really, really important is that you click Save so that it saves those joint origins before we bring it into our subassembly. And then I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to bring it in. All right. You can see it's right there. Now, in order to do this really, really well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the barrel's visibility. So I'm going to come over here to the browser and turn the barrel off. And now I can see a little bit better all the components and exactly where it's going to go. All right, so I'm going to actually I'm going to just click Joint. I am going to click the joint origin here. And now we're going to end up doing this 4 times. All right, I'm going to start off with the black. We're going to put it on the black color selector, and where we want to join it is we want to select this ring around. Okay, now what you'll notice is it kind of goes into the part. So over here in the joint menu, if I scroll down a little bit, I have to select flip and flip it around. And then I'm going to press OK. Now, here's the problem. The rest of the spring didn't come with it. So for each one of these, what you're going to have to do is join these 2 together. All right, what helps me do that is I'm going to turn off the ink cartridges. All right, and so I'm going to come up here to joint. I want to click that face here. And that face here. And click OK. And there it is. Turn on the ink cartridges. And there we go. Okay. So what you're going to have to do, you're going to repeat that same thing 4 different times. Now, you don't have to go back to the spring and reopen the spring and create those joints. What you can do from here on out is just go to your side panel, your data panel here, and just bring those springs in. Okay. You will have to join them. I'll do it one more time for you. Let's work with the red. Click joint. Click here with the spring. And then we want this circle or this ring right here. You'll have to flip it around. Click OK. Again, it didn't travel with that end, so I'm going to turn those off so I can see better. Click the joint. I want to select the face on the larger part of the spring first. And then this face here. Click OK. All right, turn everything back on. There we go. All right, so you want to do that 2 more times. Once for the, in my case, it'd be for the blue and the green. All right, so what you're going to see next is you'll see all of that completed. Okay, so there you can see all 4 springs in there. Now, let's clean this up a little bit so we don't have to stare at all these joint origins and these joint that shows where things are joined, so we can see this a little bit clearer. So down here in the display settings, we're going to click that, go to object visibility, and unselect joints and joint origins. And so that will kind of clean that up for you a little bit. All right, next component we're going to bring in is we're going to bring in the color selector. Okay. So I open up my side panel, and then I'm going to bring in, or I'm sorry, the ink cartridge separator is what we're going to bring in. We're going to bring in that ink cartridge separator. I'm going to move it below and click OK. All right, so at this point, I'm going to turn the barrel back on. And I'm going to create a joint between the center here of the color selector and the inner ring of my barrel right there. And it should rotate for you. I am going to flip it. And then I'm going to look at the front. And you can see I need to rotate it a little bit, okay, because these brass ends need to come through the open holes there. So I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees. There we go. And click OK. Last thing, I'm going to click right view. All right, and I'm going to turn off the barrel again. Where this needs to end up is it needs to end up here at the base of the springs. So I'm going to come back down to the timeline. I'm going to right click on that joint that I just created and edit. And I want to move it this way. And that's going to be a total of 0.69 inches. Click OK. And so now you can see it's right there at the base of the springs. Save things. Okay. Bring that barrel back in. And there you go. There's your subassembly.